Hello everyone, and welcome to my review/reaction to Doctor Who Series 10, Episode 6, Extremis, as they pronounce it in the episode. I thought it was Extremis, like in Iron Man, but no, Extremis it is, apparently. So yeah, I had pretty low expectations for the episode, especially after Oxygen disappointed me a lot. I found that episode to... I just found it very underwhelming, really. But no, Extremis is much more... it's the sort of episode that I understand why people are so split on it, and I understand why people will just enjoy it regardless. And some people will sort of want to analyse it a lot and try and work out what was going on. I'm going to be honest, I've only watched it the once, so... You know, I'm sure some people will be able to analyse stuff into it that I haven't been able to and pick out problems. You know, and that's fair enough. But this is based on a first viewing. This is my sort of immediate reaction. I thought it was a strong episode. I'm not sure how good it was. So far, I'm saying it was good. I think the episode, you know, it's a setup episode without trying to be too much of a setup episode, and I think that kind of works. It tries to be an episode in its own right, and while it would normally annoy me a bit, I've noticed that so many shows do this with sort of big 2 or 3 part stories to still make it episodic. You know, I'm kind of used to that. But it worked really well. I think this was definitely Steven Moffat's episode, and while it does a lot of sort of Steven Moffat things, it's very clearly his own script. It kind of works somehow, possibly because the episode didn't have to reveal everything at the end, that the next couple of episodes could do that on Extremis' behalf. It works. It's a bit mad, really. I think Steven Moffat is good at sort of throwing in all of these weird things, but not always very good at tying it together in a satisfying way. And I'm hoping that because Peter Harness and Toby Whithouse are writing the next 2 episodes, although I think Steven Moffat is heavily involved in both. He might have co-written the next one with Peter Harness, I'm not entirely sure. I think we might not, but I think we will get the sort of the resolution that we want from this big 3-part story, although it's kind of a 4-part story. It really does carry on from Oxygen, but then again, this whole series has felt continuous. There's a reference to Knock Knock about Bill having moved out, you know, and it's just... It really does feel like this episode is ingrained in the series, and it doesn't feel like it doesn't do anything, if you know what I mean. This series 10 feels like whatever is left over from previous episodes will be tackled at some point, even if perhaps more specific things like what happened to everyone else from Knock Knock isn't. But no, this tackled, first of all, it tackled the whole Doctor being blind thing, which I felt like Oxygen didn't handle very well. But definitely in this episode, having the sort of perspective shots from the Doctor's, I have to call them sonic sunglasses, having like scanned the area, and I guess relaying it telepathically to him to work out sort of where everything is so he can walk around, even if he can't really see. It works really well, and I think his interactions with Nardole, where Nardole points out what's going on, like the Doctor saying like, oh, why doesn't the Pope come here himself, and then Nardole saying, oh, isn't that the Pope? Little moments like that spread out throughout the episode were just really, really good. I mean, Nardole was quite possibly my favourite thing about the episode. I just, you know, not that I dislike Nardole in previous episodes, but I've always felt like he's had more to give, and Extremis definitely delivers that. Matt Lucas just has an absolute whale of a time with it. Yeah, I mean, his interactions with Bill are great. I think he could have done with a little scene at the end to show that he was okay, because he kind of gets... he basically dies in the sort of alternate world. And then we don't really see him again, which I feel like was a bit of a mistake. Maybe there was a scene cut. But oh well. I mean, the reveal of sort of where they were, the whole sort of simulation practice Earth for the monks' invasion. I mean, it's a fantastic idea. Perhaps the episode waited a little bit too long to reveal that, and perhaps they could have put a bit more in the episode about it. But I felt like it was actually a surprisingly satisfying resolution to the episode, because there is still the lingering threat. And I guess it was very just sort of mind-bending and weird, and Steven Moffat said he wanted this episode to be an episode where he could push the show's limits to see how far they could bend before they break, and I think it works. Did it push it too far? Possibly. I don't know. I enjoyed the episode. While for about 80% of the episode I didn't know what was going on, by the end of it all, it kind of made sense. I mean, it's all done really quite well. I mean, the whole idea of the Veritas, I was waiting for that to be a mystery box reveal that just wouldn't pay off in a particularly satisfying way. But the fact that the Veritas is the thing that explains this to everyone, and that's why they're committing suicide, because they're not committing suicide, they're escaping this simulated Earth. I think that's such a great idea. I won't talk about the monks, actually, because they don't really do anything, and they're definitely being set up as the villains for the next couple of episodes as well. But no, the sets, and visually the episode looked great, really well directed. Let me have a look to see who directed it. Daniel Nettheim. Nettheim? I'm gonna say Nettheim. Really great job. I think he directed maybe the Zygon 2-parter last season. Yeah, great work. I love the effect of the sort of the portals, the way it's just this big streaming light in this incredibly dark corridor, and I mean, it was all so well done. I'm interested to see if the Pentagon has anything to do with the next episode, because I think it's something like the UN is involved. Maybe that's gonna come into play. I'm also not sure what CERN is. I'm not sure if that's an actual thing. Let me it's got a Wikipedia page, so apparently it is the thing. Oh, right, okay, yeah, CERN is a real thing, right. I was wondering if that was a new Doctor Who thing that was going to be explored in one of the next 2 episodes, and now it's a real thing. I mean, yeah, I feel like I can't entirely justify this. Perhaps the episode was a bit too much of sort of the Steven Moffat running around, not really explaining anything, doing these big, vague speeches about what was going on. I don't know, I guess because the twist sort of completely changes your opinion of the episode, because it kind of works. I don't get the impression it was planned out as well as it could have been, and perhaps it was a bit too convoluted for some people. But no, I really enjoyed it. There's also Missy. God, I was completely forgetting about Missy. I'm not sure how it carries on from Which Is Familiar, but to be fair, I kind of want to forget about that story, so I'm not too fussed about that. The Missy subplot, I could have done without it being broken up, but it kind of put me in the mindset of a lot of American shows I watched where we just have these running flashback sequences throughout the episode. I'm not sure what Extremis actually had to do with everything. Like, Nardole mentions it in the flashback, and we get to see how Nardole ends up with the Doctor, and the Doctor making his oath. I'm not sure why he'd be so determined to keep that oath and not want to run away, but maybe there's more to this story than we realise. I definitely feel like stuff to do with Missy is being held back, and presumably in a later episode. probably in the last 2. We'll get to see more. I think Missy is meant to be a villain in the last 2 episodes. I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Michelle Gomez was good because she felt really sort of stripped back, I guess. She wasn't being all out there and crazy, and I think she did a really, really good job of that. And I did like, I don't know whether this was an intentional nod, but I liked how the sort of the I don't know, the sort of execution device they had. It reminded me a lot of the sort of the what's it called, the Dark Tower in the 5 Doctors. Random, but it kind of made me think of that. Yeah. Again, it's a bit of a all over the place episode. It's difficult to talk about it on its own merits, but no, I think overall, wrapping this review up, I'd probably give it a 7 out of 10. I thought it was a good, strong episode. You know, nothing too amazing, but I think it works well, much better than I thought it was going to be. It just, if it can tie everything together in the next couple of episodes, it might get even better, in my view. But no, as its own thing, I think it was a good episode. Could have done with being a bit clearer, a bit more structured. I feel like the episode was sort of distracting you with all of these other things to get you away from the twist. And whether that's a good idea or not is kind of open to interpretation. The monks didn't do anything, and whether, even though that's kind of intentional, I would have liked to have seen the monks actually do something. Perhaps, but the makeup was very good, the voices were very creepy. Yeah, overall, strong episode. Could have been better, don't get me wrong, but no, much better than I thought it was going to be. I really enjoyed this. So yeah, thank you for watching. What did you think of Extremis? Comment below, let me know, and I will see you all next time for part 2/part 3, if we want to include Oxygen, the pyramid at the end of the world.